Today, we're going to speak about a topic that many people struggle with, and it's finding the balance. The way I'm going to speak about it is actually speaking about myself because it's my most frequently asked question. People ask me, how do I seem to balance it? Um, on social media and other outlets, I always share my real life, and you see me going out to eat and being with friends. I don't only show salads. Of course, I show when I eat the salads, but I'll also show when I know how to treat myself. And this is something that I've found in my close to 15 years of practice that people are missing in their mentality when it comes to weight loss and especially maintaining weight over time. What's important to keep in mind is that the wisdom or the OMG moments when it comes to weight loss is not, can I get you to lose weight? It's a science. If you take in less calories than you burn, then you will gain weight. If you burn more calories than you take in, you'll lose weight, right? On paper, it sounds amazing. It sounds like a true science, but like I explained to clients, it's not an exact science. That's the best way I could describe it. Meaning it should work, yet it doesn't always work like that because there's so many variables that affect total weight, and mentality is definitely one of those factors that affect your success and your long-term sustainability. So whenever you're going through a weight loss plan, remember, anybody could get you to lose weight. You could follow anything to help you lose weight if you just follow it. But if you're not following, number one, a strategy, not just do this or don't do that or drink this or don't drink that. But if you're following a strategy, you want to follow a strategy that you can see yourself sustaining over time in some capacity. Something about it has to make sense to you that you'll keep forever. I know that's scary to some people because so many people tell me, do I need to do this forever? It's usually after the first time. And I always laugh because over time, you're not going to ask that question anymore. You're not going to be nervous about that. It's more just the anticipation or the trauma you have of following past things that are not sustainable. So you don't think that you can follow anything for long term. So your automatic response is, oh my God, do I have to do this forever? That actually should be the title of this one. Oh my God, do I have to do this forever? Short answer is yeah, but the longer answer is it's not even going to be a question. It's going to become a part of your lifestyle because the strategy that you were looking to do or you were following is something that you could sustain. So, in essence, you want to lose weight in a way that you can maintain it. You want to follow a strategy that you can follow long term. In essence, not in degrees of flexibility. That's what I'm going to talk about today. The degrees of flexibility, AKA the balance. I think balance is a good word when it comes to this. You know, usually when, let's say, people reference work life balance, that makes me laugh because work life balance is a juggle. It's not a balance. One ball's up, the other ball doesn't fully drop, but they're never really on the same plane because you can't give focus to both things at the same time. However, I would argue with food and nutrition, now that I think about it, in my mind, the way I think about it is absolutely a balance. I can totally still be mindful and cognizant of, let's say, caloric intake or balance. I could eat a salad and still have a dessert at the same meal. So technically, they are both in my mind at the same time, and that's balance. It's not one or the other. That's the point. So many people tell me that they only eat salads when on a diet, or they associate salads with being on a diet. And of course, salad is a term, right? Like a lot of vegetables or eating vegetables or salad based things only when they're on a diet. So when they think of a salad, they're like, oh, that's when I'm on a diet. So then when they're quote unquote off the diet, they not only never eat salads, but if you're not eating and pushing salads, which let's say have a bitter flavor profile, they have more fiber and water, you're typically craving more carbs, eating more carbs, going through that cycle, which is more sweet, triggering sweet in your brain and less filling, that you end up you end up doing less healthier foods. And when you have only salads, you associate that with being on a diet. That's problem number one, the mentality that you can't live a life where you have carbs and sweeter things and a salad. Not only the same time, but the same day. Not only the same day, but in the same meal or in the same snack. It's recognizing that salads and, let's say, carbs are not mutually exclusive. They're not one or the other. A lot of the things I'm going to talk about today are things that you're going to have to take space from and think about, because I usually catch people in these thought processes. They're having them, but they're not aware or being honest that they really have them. So I'm hoping that today, when we go through some of these points of how to find the balance, is your think about your honest thoughts. And even if you try journaling, I know, I get it. It's annoying and no one wants to journal or meditate or all that, but that's really the only way to get in touch with your thoughts. See, we have billions of thoughts in our mind all day, yet we're not aware of what they're trying to tell us or what they really are. You have to take space from your own brain. The only way to do that is to either talk it out, let's say with me, right? And that's what I said. I call people out on it and make them aware, or first of all, voice note yourself. I don't really care. Get them out, journal, or meditate, because you have to understand your thoughts first in order to work on this mindset for balance. And that is definitely when I usually catch, when they don't feel that having a salad is just part of an everyday life. They think that that's part of a diet life, and they don't understand that you can literally eat a salad and have a dessert of a piece of cake in the same meal, technically speaking. It's an on or off mentality that you need to work through in order to find the balance. And I mean, really work through, like not think you're working through it or know you have to work through it or show up saying, I know it's a problem, blah, blah, blah. No, you got to like really rewire, because if you are experiencing signs that it's an on or off mentality, it's the complete opposite of balance. And that's the first thing to work through, is the mindset. So for me, I said I would talk about myself, as I never approached food and nutrition with the option to take away all the foods I love. I got into nutrition because I love food. I lived for food. I was the child who would split a bag of chips with their friends and constantly be the hand going in there, taking it, licking the crumbs, asking for people's extras of muffins. Their moms bought them from this bagel store here that my mom would never buy me. And I'd rather eat the chocolate chips off the wrapper because I loved it. Or I would hang out by the snack machine and literally borrow quarters at the time. That's how much this stuff was then, for a treat. And I would always pick the cookies that no one ever wanted, the non-name brand cookies, because they came with 6 in them versus 1 cookie of a name brand, because I felt like I was eating more. And I chose Rolos as my favorite candy because they came smaller and it made me feel like I was eating more. And my favorite soda was Dr. Pepper. And I remember collecting money for that too at the community center and figuring out how to open the top small so I could extend how long I drank it because I enjoyed it so much. So I always loved food. That was never my goal. Like, I never saw it as a reason to eat better means getting rid of all those foods. Never. So I'm not sure, guys, why a lot of you start off that way. I think it's a lot of things you were taught, a lot of things you witnessed growing up or with friends, social circles, communities, news stations. I'm bringing this up because you have to understand that you were either told or saw something that you need to recognize and be honest about in order to find your balance, because my initial grounded foundation was never built in that. And You can fix that, but if you're not, you have to first be aware that you got to go back and say, you know what, when I was younger, this is what was told to me. And I think it had a bigger impact than it did. That's step one. And then you just learn to rewire those thoughts and you learn to make different actions based on those thoughts. Pick a different food option because you're having a thought. So that's step one. And I always approached it of understanding that I wanted to learn about nutrition and health, emphasis on health, to help people and help myself. What enamored me about nutrition was how impactful it could be on your physical health. And then over my years in practice, recognizing how impactful it was on your emotional health too. So, literally, the anecdote to being happy, healthy, peaceful, that was why I got into nutrition, always. So, my strategies have always been built from that place that I love all foods. I never did this to give up my yummy foods. I just wanted to better myself, improve my health, and help other people through that. That means I had to then understand the balance, how to then work in foods that help that goal, how to work in a variety of plant-based options to help your health, help your emotional health, literally the happiness diet, omega 3s and salmon and all these foods to incorporate. So my focus has always been not on taking things out, but on celebrating and learning what I should put in to enhance that goal of a healthier well-being, physical, emotional, with food. And that's a balance. So I had more of the unhealthier, junky balance, I guess we could say. And I say that with a smile because it's all relative. It's just different types of food. And then I just learned more about the healthier options that I wanted to incorporate. What that means is my goal was never about a number. Never. Never. First of all, I'm not a math person. I used to get 40s on a test with that sign and return stamp, and I used to like forge my mom's signature. I'm not a numbers person. It never meant anything to me. I think I became immune from the concept of numbers, but I will argue everyone, and I've been in this practice for 15 years, that if your goal is a number and you think that reaching that number will make you happy, reach the number and ask yourself if you're happy, because a number does not bring happiness. And a number does not necessarily mean you will like the way you look, because what you learn through me is there's a concept of body composition. Body composition means that you can lose weight differently. You can lose weight where you're, there we go. You can lose weight and not like the way you look, believe it or not. That's typically when you lose a lot of muscle mass because you're having way too little calories. Your body's literally taking protein from your muscles. And a lot of those quote unquote diets discourage exercise because you're not taking enough calories. And if you sustain muscle, it doesn't manipulate the scale to make you look like you're losing more in numbers. So you will quit their diet and you will look thinner overall, but you'll look drawn, God forbid, sick. You'll get comments. Are you okay? Your clothes will be a smaller size, but when you button the button on your jeans, you'll still have flab over it because you're proportionally more fat versus muscle. So it doesn't even mean you would like the way you look a number. But with our point about balance is that if your ultimate goal is a number, you will not find the balance, because the balance comes from a place where you're recognizing and embracing the fact that you love less healthier options, indulgent options, and are not at all looking to take that out of your life. You're looking to learn how to and what to incorporate on the healthier side to help enhance your goals of feeling good, looking good. Remember, that's not a number, looking good, and improving emotional and physical health. By definition, isn't that balance? You're not taking one away. You're looking to keep that and you're looking to incorporate more of another. That's balance. So the first thing was recognizing that a salad isn't only a diet food and you can easily have a meal with a salad and a dessert. The next one was your ultimate goal can't be based on a number. It has to be based on wanting to improve something that by definition means there needs to be a balance. By definition, a goal like improving your health and improving the way you look means that there needs to be two different kinds of foods in your life. The next one I have to speak about is movement. Just like the first two mentalities, there are so many misconceptions about the thoughts around movement. I'm being very specific to use the word movement versus exercise because exercise, for some reason, freaks so many of you out. And again, that's more because of what you define exercise as, what you were told to define exercise at, how you watched your mom exercise, something really negative. Like when people are so against exercise, you have to understand such a visceral reaction to that is embedded in something way deeper than you just not wanting to go take a walk. Whenever there's a big reaction that doesn't warrant something, there's more there. And people have big reactions to the concept of movement. When I get down to it, some of it, I mean, all of it is valid. I mean, feelings are valid. However, a lot of times it would be that, quite frankly, they're embarrassed to go to the gym. They don't like the way they look. They don't like the way things jiggle, I've heard. Look, everybody who's even the thinnest person, when I jump rope, things jiggle. Okay. But they're self conscious about it. They're self conscious about their performance. They think they suck in class. So I hear it. First of all, I always wish everyone just said that out loud because you would see that everybody thinks the same way. Everybody to some capacity. I learned to just laugh it off. I just got over humiliating myself. I don't know what else to say, but we all humiliate ourselves. And quite honestly, any expert, trainer, any coach is expecting you to suck. They totally are. And they just love to see you show up and commit. And you only know that and learn that the more you go. So definitely don't feel like that. And then also the fact that people assume that exercise means a certain length of time, a certain location, a certain type. And that's not true. That's not true. Don't even fall for anything. I mean, yes, there's studies when it comes to cardiovascular health. It says 30 minutes of vigorous activity. When it comes to this, there might be a certain recommendation. Sure, there's recommendations. But is the alternative of not being able to do that specific recommendation not moving? Is that what they mean? Is that what they mean? Oh, well, if I can't do an hour of vigorous activity, I'm going to do nothing. No, that's not what they mean. In fact, what's frequently and consistently quoted, and that's typically the type of nutrition and fitness and wellness advice that you should follow, not the newest thing that you've never heard of before. Things have been around forever. Yes, if it's modified or evolves, absolutely, that's science, but not something brand spanking new. It's usually red flag for me. But walking. So back in the day, it was saying 10,000 steps a day. Okay, so or relatively recently, was saying that was outdated based on some Asian culture, and they came up with 10,000. So really, it's more like 8,000. I'm personally telling you, it's irrelevant. Just get moving, get walking. Don't think that's nothing. Like park your car farther, take groceries in both arms, and walk up the stairs in your building. Like, do not discount any activity. And speaking about our concept of balance, that's important. I was active my entire life. So yes, we've already discussed that Beth loved the Rolos and the non-brand cookies, the Dr. Peppers, and the muffin scraps from her friends. But Beth also was always very active because I loved it. So I danced for 16 years. I fought to dance even. I even started paying for it myself in high school because I loved it so much. So I always danced because I enjoyed it. And I played sports. I was in little league. I played softball and all those things I do today. I mean, I box today, which I associate as dancing, actually. And I still play softball leagues in the summer. And that's why with kids, when I counsel pediatrics, I am so aggressive with enforcing and recommending and urging them to move, because if there's one thing I learned about myself is that if that was ingrained in me at a young age, and I've said this before on here, I used to even bond with my father by going with him to 24-hour fitness places at night, because that's when I got to see him and hang out with him, and I like that like private attention. I'm one of 7 kids. And I noticed if I go with him, no one else didn't want it to go. And I like to go. So I always had really good memories of movement. And I just don't know how to not move. I don't know how to not move. What I can tell you is I do not move in any way that I don't like. It will not last. I'm not some sort of miracle woman and like superhero here that just loves everything. No. If I don't like it, I don't do it. And that doesn't mean I gave it one shot. Usually I give things a really fair shot. Depending on what it is, at least 4 to 6 times consistently. I give it a fair shot unless something ever felt unsafe or not good, like huge red flag. Sometimes I even just adjust that. But the point is that you got to be consistent enough in anything to make that honest decision, even with tasting new foods, by the way. You got to give it time. But then you move on to the next thing, 7,000 million different ways to move your body, and not feeling that means you will not find the balance, because that's not a balanced mentality. This is the ideal way, or I go the highway. And that makes no sense in balance. Intuition. This is a big one. What's nice for me, and that sigh was more about wishing I was trusting more of my intuition in other areas. Look, like I'm speaking to you because I found it with nutrition and health. It doesn't mean I don't struggle with these things in other areas by any means, but I am able to empathize with your struggle because, number one, I found the balance, and two, I feel it in different ways. So I get the challenges, but I always had a very strong intuition, and I always recognized, I don't know, something wasn't right about when I would hear people talk about weight. Of course, I'm a girl. I used to have high school friends that eat pretzels and diet sodas, and that was it. And I remember sort of looking at them and be like, aren't you hungry? Like, what's happening? Or, but and it's not that it didn't like give me a like a annoying feeling in my mind. It's not like I didn't feel like, that's like annoying, or should I be looking at my food? Like I was a kid. It's not like it didn't affect me, but still my intuition ruled out. It's like, but I'm hungry. Like I'm just gonna eat. So it's not that it never affected me, or I never looked at my body in the mirror, or I never wondered about certain clothes. It's just that in the end, my intuition won out. And you really have to listen, listen to how you're feeling, and you have to be in tune with others too. Like I said, recognizing that I think something's up there. I might not have been so aware of it then, but looking back, I had that. I had that recognizing, that doesn't make so much sense, And I counsel kids like this, especially the teens, and they feel such peer pressure, some of them with their friends. And I get them to kind of smile like me and sort of get much more confident in trusting their own intuition here, because it's there. Like sometimes they'll tell me something their friend said to them, like, is that true? And they're like, oh, or oh, I never, if their friend tells them, I never eat that. That's so fattening, or I only eat this for dinner. I'm like, do you really believe that's all they eat, right? Like, and they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, so you think it's crazy, like it's ridiculous. So trusting that intuition is really like don't let your traumas or what other people have told you, what you've been taught, and now after all these years and now being an adult, so it's definitely very strong. You got to dig through this, but your intuition's there. You got to go back and find it. A strong sense of spirituality, and a connection to God. So in a lot of self-help areas, whether you believe in God or not, they all say something about a higher being. Like there's an essence here that you have to think of something beyond yourself, because it's the only way to really get through any challenge or anxiousness or chaos. It's really the ultimate fact. Like you can't always know, or you have to like reach out like on a higher level for like help or assistance or to understand something. And I've always had a very strong connection for me to God and very spiritual in the sense where I recognizing that something's not as it always seems, or let's dig deeper. I mean, it's also what made me a unique and hopefully great dietitian is because I know that there's more. Um, so I embrace you to kind of like look for that in the sense where, like I said, even journaling and getting your thoughts out and taking some space and meditation, but trying to find that essence of what to tap into when things are challenging. So you're not just stuck in your own cycle of thoughts that lie to you a lot. They lie to you a lot. So that would be my final point. And just to end again with the scale and other things is that I always treated feeding myself and food and prepping things as an act of self-care. And I've said that on here all the time and I teach people with that all the time because if it's not coming from a place of positivity and I want to ultimately take care of myself, remember my initial goal of even wanting to get into nutrition, like that starts the balanced mindset. If you don't treat it like self-care, it's just so negative and restrictive and damaging and even for your mental space. So really try to find the feel good aspects of eating well. And I promise you, your weight will follow. I promise it will follow. I promise. These are the grounding factors. I speak about these in my books. I have Living a Real Life with Real Food and then I have Secrets of a Kosher Girl. Both of those books are very helpful, helping you find this mindset that can help the balance. So of course, we work with a structured plan at first. I hold your hand. I tell you what to eat. I do what you want me to do. I give you a list. But over time, I want you to know that my whole goal and the part of the process, if anything, the most important part of the process is trying to find yourself in the strategy, recognizing things you missed, things you actually realized you were doing because of the way you were eating before, not because you needed them. All these things that start coming together, like the pieces of the puzzle of your life, literally start coming together in the proper plan. And that's how you should approach weight loss so that you can find the balance and actually maintain your weight.